Okay, so we've been playing a lot of decks that I've been building on stream. This is not a deck that I've built though. This came from random Twitter post X that I saw while looking around. So I don't remember who exactly threw this together. I don't write things down. At any rate, it's got some neat ideas in it. So Alrund's Epiphany is the extra turns card. The extra turns card in the format. So in addition to getting an extra turn, you get 2 1/1 bird tokens, which seems neat. So these bird tokens, as well as Cyclone Summoner here, are ways to close games out. One thing that seems really neat in this list is that Cosima, God of Voyage here, seems like a card that's quite sweet with all of the ramp in this deck. So the word soup on her front half here basically says, during your upkeep, you can exile her, and then every time you have a land come into play while she's exiled, she gets a 1/1 counter, and eventually when you put her into play, you draw a card for each counter on her. So if you exile her on 3, or on your 4th turn upkeep after playing her on 3, and then you play a land plus a migration path on turn 4, you could put her back into play as a 4/6 and draw 2 cards. So she basically gets bigger and draws more cards the more land drops you hit while she's exiled herself. So this plays very nicely with our migration paths and our cultivates here. We've got things like Borrower and Cyclone Summoner to keep the board in check. We got some Glimpse of the Cosmos here as a way to find our cards consistently that we can flash back in the late game when we get Cyclone Summoner into play. Toski here is for some cheeky card advantage, so let's go ahead and dive on into some games with this and see if this is reasonable or if it's a dumpster fire. I've not played any games with this. There's a chance it's very bad. Let's find out together, huh? Deserved, thanks for the follow. If you're new to the channel, like Deserved there, welcome. I'm streaming a bunch of Magic these days, do a lot of card games and turn-based strategy games in general, as well as some single-player story-driven stuff. Magic is predominantly what we're playing these days. If you like sweet decks like these, I try to play 2 to 3 different decks at least every single day, and everything ends up on my YouTube channel. So a lot of videos up there with a lot of different ideas to check out. Yeah, I think this is a keep. I'm gonna bottom the Faceless Haven for now, since we have 2 non-snow lands to start. Probably don't want that to activate till late game anyways. You have a 2/1 opponent. Glimpse the Cosmos. Pretty sure we don't want that till late game. Just grab a land here. Yeah, and this is like the tough sell part of this deck. It's like, well, I don't really have things that play to the board, right? So like in a game like this where we're on the draw and our opponent plays to the board fairly quickly, like, we're just like dead to rights, right? Feels that way at least. I guess this kind of blocks and demands they keep a blocker back. It's Bacon. Thank you for the 10 months of Prime. Welcome back. Good morning. Are Fog or Sleep Effects are worthwhile? Not really. And Bone Crusher Giant's a format staple, so a thing they stapled onto his Stomp effect, in case you've forgotten. Yeah, but like, if it has to attack, it's drawing us cards. Like, it blocks for a turn, and then they have to choose between blocking or letting us draw cards. I'm invincible! Don't dragon me. Have a heart. I mean, that's a fairy dragon. I think that counts. Poor Toski. He was supposed to be the Toskis with the mostest. I was invincible! Why would you do this to me, Rankle? Hellboy, thanks for the 2.5 years. Welcome back. Good morning, good morning. Yeah, we're just super dead, right? Yeah, that kind of is how I was expecting this deck to go. This is why we're gonna play a number of decks like this that are like decks that I catch online that people are like, oh, this deck is good and reasonable. And like I look at them and I go, there's no way that's capable of like anybody beating anybody that plays to the board. And sure enough, that's what it looks like so far. We're gonna board in some Essence Scatters. We're gonna bring in the extra Ugin for some more cleanup at the top end. Scavenging Ooze blocks and exile stuff from their graveyard in case they're a Croxa deck. All right, let's try this. Is Chainweb good? I don't know if Chainweb's good. I guess it like blocks early, kinda. I'm bored in a couple of Chainweb. You can like chump and then come back later bigger. Sure. Sounds good, Gringle. Thanks for that. We'll be doing more Mythgard tomorrow afternoon, so I'll probably take a peek at those tonight. All right, we've got an extra turn. We've got turn spells, and we've got some ramp. And we're on the play, so I expect this game to go very different than the last one. Joke's on you. I didn't want those spells anyways. Morning, Chris. Psionic, if you're in chat, you're champion. You're no longer championed. It looks like it was a misclick. For people that aren't familiar with mod tools, the ban and timeout button are right next to each other. Wizards, Giants, and Lands. So we decline to put this... No, god damn it! I clicked the wrong button. So it's declined to put it back into play. It's take... Alright, I'm gonna concede. We're at the rank floor, basically. Let's go to another game. So it's take action to exile it, and then it's take action to keep it exiled. I need to read this stupid card. Oh, and of course I can't actually read the card on Cardboard Live. I can go into here, though. Yeah, and that is, obviously, I should read better, but the actual answer is that's a good example of a poor user interface. The buttons should not say take action or decline. The button should have words on them that describe what clicking the button does. The wording on the card is also bad. Okay, it gains whenever a land enters the battlefield under your control. If it's exiled, you may put a Voyage counter on it. If you don't, return it to the battlefield with counter. Okay, so it's saying when this is exiled, taking an action is putting a counter on it. And the wording on the buttons is exceptionally bad because you're technically taking an action regardless of which of those two options you choose, right? Like, one is the action of putting it back into play, and one is the action of putting a counter on it. So the buttons ideally should say, put counter on this, put back into play. Honestly, punishing waterfalls, I actually think it's even worse than Leonin Arbiter on MTGO, because at least with Leonin Arbiter on MTGO, that's an interface thing that's like technically that way because of the rules of the game. Whereas this is an interface thing that is this way because they are unable to put different words on their buttons easily. It should say, do you like put back into play, put counter on it? Should be like the two options like that, or keep exiled, put back into play. Put into play, keep exiled. Those are two short, concise phrases that describe what you're doing with the buttons. Okay, if we hit an untapped land in our next two draws here, we'll get to go... Oh, I should do this. Almost missed that. We should... Opponent's fetch land saved us from ourselves there. We should get to go this into Migration Path, which is sweet. Can our deck ever beat the counterspell deck? This has got to be another Rancid matchup, right? Like I have to imagine. We do have 3 World Snakes in the sideboard. Could be our saving grace. Hey, congrats, D20. No, there's no infinite turns, Turnpike. Generally speaking, infinite turns is was just a Nexus only thing. Usually, Nexus of Fate was a huge departure from the normal taking turns cards because generally speaking, taking turns effects are templated like this one where it exiles itself when it's done. So like, not only did Nexus of Fate not exiled itself, but it shuffled back in. Yeah, and they're usually sorcerer speed. Yeah, it was an instant and it shuffled back in instead of being a sorcery and exiling itself. I'm excited to bounce this Shark Typhoon token. Look, it even says exile it. Is there reminder text in the middle when you put a land into play? I wonder if there is. I don't remember now. Now I need to look and see if there's reminder text in the middle. Main deck negates pretty stock. A lot of the, like the stock blue-red list is on just like a complete split. It's like 2 scatters, 2 strokes, 2 negates to the main, and then 4 Sod Comings. As a point of reference. I think I'm just trimming this. 7-drop that gets Mystic Disputed doesn't sound great. These are recastable threats. These are uncounterable. Mulligan that with no green mana, unfortunately. Yeah, this is fine. Be playing the Omen Keel onto so we can crit. I think I'm kind of into that. Yeah, maybe Borrower is better than Caller. I can see that. I don't know. I think this match is probably a shit show that we can't win regardless of how we sideboard. We get a bunch of really expensive stuff, and they've got endless counter spells and pressure. The opponent's archetype is one of the reasons why. The opponent's archetype is one of the things that has a pretty good Sultai Ultimatum matchup for that same reason, and our deck's like our deck seems like it is doing similar things to Sultai Ultimatum while not having actual removal in it. Well, that's definitely a counterspell, huh? Your priority's passing very quickly. If they dragon us this turn, we get to draw 3 before it makes a thing, so that's nice. I don't know if that's enough to win, but... Ha! Can we kill them on the ground, maybe, with this? Okay, I mean... I mean, Trail doesn't really hit many of our meaningful cards, Chef Seth. If we had a bunch of permanent base cards that we cared about, I'd say that you're right, that sounds good, but we don't. Brazenly borrow me, daddy. All right. A snake, a snake. Oh, it's a snake. A couple of borrowers are probably better than this expensive top end. They were not tapped out. They had 4 mana from treasures. Sand's not exciting, but it's fine. Probably cycling Migration Path here. We don't have that many things we're ramping up into, and I have Cultivate to ramp with this turn. It's a pretty good ramp finisher. Pumps a lot of damage out for a little bit of mana. Got me. I'm gonna pass here. Probably flash this in an end step. Start trying to attack. And now that they did that, we get to go ahead and bounce and do this, because remember, Foretell is not instant speed, it's just on your turn. Or it's not sorcery speed, it's just on your turn. Because templating. is there a ban and restricted on Monday? So remember, Magic the Gathering does not have scheduled banned and restricted anymore. Any given Monday could be a ban list update. They just do them as needed. They don't have like, they always happen on these days. Unless they plan to finally bonk Uro in some of the non-rotating formats, I don't imagine we'll see any changes in Magic anytime soon. I think aside from giving Uro the old bonk hammer in some places, everything's pretty A-okay. You wouldn't counter my birds opponent, would you? What did my birds ever do to you? I think we've died, chat. Chat, dragon and counter spells. Very good against these spell combo decks. We could theoretically draw a bunch of turns effects here in a row and kill them, right? I have no idea, Moist Succulent, if I'm being honest. Do you expect any balance changes for Rune Terror anytime soon? I have no idea, Martian. They theoretically could patch every 2 weeks, but usually they don't do balance patches except for once a month. Like, I kind of don't expect Rune Terror to make any changes next week. Yeah, I'm kind of expecting no changes from them until their next set release. So, I'm planning to focus mostly on Magic probably until their next set of changes. Still do some stuff like Mythgard and God of War and stuff like that. We're almost at the end of God of War, so we'll be starting Bloodborne soon, but for card game stuff, my primary focus is probably going to be moving back to mostly Magic. Defense. Defense. Santos, thanks for the follow. Welcome to the channel. Read. Our opponent is playing to the board and we are dying, chat. I do not like it. Do not like it, Sam. I am. We're gonna die before we cast this, huh? I've got huge tracts of land. Don't play anything. They're gonna boast. Boasting gives them an 8th power. Yeah, the PS5 plays almost all PS4 games. But I still play Raid Shadow Legends a little bit. I don't play daily anymore like I did for a long time. And since getting back into Magic, I haven't touched it as much. Does this deck have any matchups that aren't awful? No, I don't think so. What's the upside of not playing a 3rd color here? The snow cards, I think. Yeah, I don't know. We're probably gonna scrap this one. We're gonna finish playing this match, but we're probably gonna move on to other things here in a second. See, chat, random deck lists on Twitter that people claimed they did well with. Variance cuts both ways. Sometimes they did well because they just got a little bit lucky. I 5-0'd with this list. Were you just like playing against this deck? Probably has a good Sultai Ultimatum matchup. People asking, do we have any good matchups? I would bet this deck is good against Sultai Ultimatum. What's going on, Billy Zane? Thanks for the 23 runs. Yeah, it's good to be back. Magic's been fun. Obligatory spread, what a GP. Yep. Yep. Morning, Alistair. Alright, if we get untapped lands here in our next 2 draws, we get to play the Cosminian Devil into Migration Path. Perfect. If they don't kill Cosminia here, this is our nut draw. Don't do it. Damn it, Bobby. That was the one thing I explicitly asked you not to do. You had one job. One job, Bobby. Alright, we're gonna bounce this with Brazen Borrower inside of combat and kill one of their other things. So you get a 3/3 here to eat the Usher. Then I played the untapped land last turn because I want to cycle one of these paths. I don't need both of them. Chat, we might win a game. We might win a game, chat. I don't want to get too far ahead of myself here, but oh, I guess that's Bags. They're just gonna exile it again, huh? We gotta get through this card at some point, though. Got him! Got him! Caca! Caca! The Raven says nevermore! Oh yeah, I have no idea how we ever beat the Snow Thalia. That sounds real bad for the home team. Defense. Defense. I have 2 Ugins in my deck at this point, chat. I would like to glimpse the cosmos. Ooh. Avalanche! Caca! Caca! We're on a boat. It took our opponent getting mana screwed, chat, but we've won a game of Magic the Gathering. Truly a skilled magician are we. Let's forget for a moment that I'm going to have to try and win a game on the draw against the aggro deck for a second. We found our good matchup in Mana Screw. No joke. I genuinely think a big part of what people find so appealing about Magic as a game is the fact that when you play a deck that's mostly terrible, you can still win a significant number of games purely by virtue of the fact that your opponent occasionally just doesn't play, right? And that's not something that this could be a non-game factor is something that a lot of other games don't have, right? So like even when you have no idea what you're doing with deck building, you still can oftentimes fumble into a decent amount of wins because of just the failure rate that decks have in Magic. Gonna trim around that. I'm gonna bring in the Scoozes and the Chainwebs, just like extra blockers here, I think, on the draw. Yeah, that and honestly, the London Mulligan is because the London Mulligan reduced those number of games, right? Like the London Mulligan made it harder to win with random crap because your random crap gets fewer. Okay, I won because my opponent didn't play games. Can I keep this on the draw? I feel like if I had a green source, I'd keep this. If I could like bounce something into Cultivate. I think I have to mulligan as is. So it's not very good. I don't think I can go to 5 though. One green source, please. Yikes! Yikes! Feeling kinda blue right now. Womp womp. Alright, I'm gonna give this one more shake. See, if I would like to try and queue into this, we're at the rank floor. I would like to try and queue into the Sultai deck to see if that matchup feels good. I feel like that could be, this deck could be potentially reasonable against Yorion decks. It does not seem particularly playable against anything that plays to the board. I'm gonna concede to another aggro matchup. I'm gonna take 3 matches to try and find a Yorion deck. In fact, I'm just gonna concede to not Yorion. I'm gonna hand out some free ladder points here. Look at this person's almost to mythic. If they ain't done Yorion, I'm gonna give them some freebies. Yeah, Teferi portrait, almost at mythic, big brain player. Yeah, I feel like the Teferi avatar biases them towards Yorion, right? We did it. We did it. We did it. Hooray! Tybalt's Trickery is the turn to Kiora Bust the Sea God deck. Draw Yorion on 3, huh? You know, maybe I was supposed to do this on 2 to have a better chance to cultivate on 3. Oh no, chat. They're a Yorion deck that's quickly playing to the board? Is that legal? I'm pretty sure this is illegal, chat. We are supposed to get to play against a slow deck this game. This card is so bad when you draw it after turn 3. It's like a 2/4 for 3 in my deck. Kaka! Kaka! Well... Yikes! I took this because we had like 3 to 4 more shots at another land, and then we bricked. Take me down to Brick City. There's no lands here, chap. Did they just Binding of the Old Gods by 1/1? Oh wait, these have vigilance? Only destroy target creature. How are you gonna take a listen? They could have just diddled these to kill my. Yeah, opponent doesn't know how their cards work. That's fine. We died. Opponent doesn't know how their cards work, and we still died handily. All right. Oh right, it's a best of 3. I have to keep playing. I guess we'll try again. I guess we'll try again. This has got to be the Stroke matchup. Dispute's good here. They're actually an Abzan deck, right? Yeah, I want to give us a fair shake. This is the one place this deck could be okay. Maybe you don't want all the Komas. Zordiark, thanks for the follow this morning. Welcome to the channel. Happy Wednesday, my dudes. Okie doke. Just fetch our forest right away here, get our auto pass value in the post board game. Oh, they know what colors we're playing already. Rude. With all of your Runeterra gameplay, are you any more incentivized to do more one-round matches? No, quite the opposite. In fact, part of what has me frustrated with Runeterra's current format is I think Runeterra in their current format would probably be a better game if they had sideboards and best of 3. Runeterra is also has very different core gameplay than Magic. Runeterra doesn't have all of the non-games you have in a game like Magic. So like, in Runeterra, even if you get run over due to polarized play, you still got to play a game a lot of the time. You still took game actions. God, this card is bad. Alright, I'm off it. Let's do something else. Well, I took the cycle there, Wallaby. You're right, I needed an untapped land to play Cosmina there, but I'm so far behind after those discard spells taking my things in that instance. I need the advantage that Fabled Passage is going to provide with Cosmina to potentially get back in that game. So I think playing Passage there is playing to not lose, whereas holding the Passage and hoping to hit the land is playing to win. And obviously we also need to fade removal there, but yeah. So this was bad. This went about how I expected it to go. We died to things that played to the board because our deck isn't sufficiently linear to race aggressive decks, and our deck isn't sufficiently interactive to make sure we don't get out lineared. God, this card is poop. It's just so bad. It's the fact that she has to survive a turn cycle in order to do anything is awful, and then after it survives, you then have to exile it and then make a bunch of land drops to then maybe do something down the line. And God forbid you don't play this card on exactly 3, you draw this card, it's a card advantage spell that you have to have on turn 3, and it has to not die to a removal spell. And that's just so many ifs and conditionals, right? I don't even think it's good in control. Your control decks want your card advantage to be good when you top deck it in the late game. You draw your draw 2 or your draw 3 or whatever your card advantage is. You don't want it to just be a 2/4. Yeah, I mean, this is probably a fine card in Commander. There's good chance this was designed for not standard. I think that's very true. Yeah, if the backside had flying, it would probably be playable. But the fact the backside has no evasion is very blah. So, all right, we're gonna move along.